Hey, world history. Welcome to U4-L10, the fall of Rome, the rise of the Byzantine Empire. All right, your job, you're going to watch this Ed puzzle, answer the questions. Any question in blue text is going to be a question I want you to answer directly on the Ed puzzle. And if you have any questions, please let us know. We are here to help you. Learning goal students can describe the key parts of the fall of Rome and describe the relationship between the rise of the Byzantine Empire and Christianity and explain the ways in which Constantine influenced the spread of Christianity. All right, so the first thing first, let's take a look at this map. So this map here shows the height of the Roman Empire, which was in the late 100s to 330 CE. Okay, so we're in CE now, Common Era. And if you look at this map here, you'll see it is a huge empire. We have stretching all the way to Spain, up here into Britain, down through Germany, parts of what is going to become the Middle East. We got by the Black Sea, down here into Arabia, also Egypt, and around North Africa. So, spoiler alert, the Roman Empire officially ended in about 330 CE. So, why and how do you think the Roman Empire fell? If you don't know the answer to that, that's okay. Just take your best educated guess. All right, so of course, the Roman Empire didn't fall within a day. It wasn't like everyone just woke up and was like, oh, that was the end of the Roman Empire. Let's move on. No, it wasn't like that. It was over time. So the official end of the Roman Empire, again, is about 330 CE. There are multiple reasons for the fall of the Roman Empire. The History Channel, which also makes your textbook, by the way, has 8 explanations for why the Roman Empire fell. So some of the big ones would be the splitting of East and West Roman empires, the invasion of outside forces, overexpansion, and economic troubles, as well as the rise of Christianity. So we are just going to take a look at one of these reasons, and that one reason is the splitting of East and West Roman Empire. And it's also going to tie into the rise of Christianity as well. All right, so let's kind of get some background information about this first. So Emperor Diocletian, who's this dude right here, he ruled from 284 to 305 CE. At 284, the Roman Empire was at the height of its expansion, but there was a lot of troubles that Rome had. For example, a lot of inflation, also overexpansion. Local tribes, especially in what is like modern day Germany, were fighting back against the Roman army. There was also corruption in politics, so people would bribe their way to power, and there was a huge black market, which means buying and selling goods without tax or government regulation. So Emperor Diocletian had a plan. He beat inflation by setting price limits on goods. He didn't allow people to switch professions easily. So for example, if someone was, let's say, a blacksmith, and they're like, "God, I really hate being a blacksmith. I want to go and become a baker." That was really hard to do in the Roman Empire under Diocletian. So pretty much if you were born into a job, so like if your parents or your guardians had a certain job, that was the job that you would do for your life. And Diocletian made that pretty concrete during his rule. He also had the death penalty to anyone in the black market. So instead of just, getting fines for people in the black market, it was a serious thing. If you were doing like trading under the radar, you're dead. He was strict. All right. So, what about the size of the empire? It was too big to control, and its borders were butting up against local groups, especially in modern day Germany and France. So, right up here. So, what do you think Diocletian is going to do about this? Take your best educated guess. So, Diocletian does something kind of unbelievable. He actually splits the empire into West and East in 286 CE. So, he literally had the Roman Empire pretty much drawn a line right down the center. And he went, all right, over here, we got the West. Over here, we got the East. So, the East and West become 2 separate empires, each of them having their own emperor. The West was ruled by Emperor Marcus Aurelius Valerius Maximianus, or just Maximus for short, and the East was then ruled by Emperor Diocletian himself. So under Diocletian's and Max's rule, both shared the same religion, holidays, government structures, Roman pride. They both also tolerated the Christians, meaning that they wouldn't like condemn the Christians or put them to death, but they weren't super welcoming about Christians either. But things were about to change. So Diocletian retired in 305 CE, which is a huge accomplishment in the Roman Empire because typically, if you're a Roman emperor, you got assassinated, and that's how the next emperor was chosen. So, huge achievement for Diocletian for actually retiring. There was a brief political battle for the Eastern Empire's throne. The winner ended up being this dude right here. His name is Constantine. So from here on, the Eastern Roman Empire is called the Byzantine Empire. And they still thought themselves as Romans, although they changed their name. But under Constantine, they now were called the Byzantine Empire. I know, a lot of name changings. So today, the Catholic Church recognizes Emperor Constantine as a saint. Wait a minute. I thought Roman Empire hated Christians. So take your best educated guess. How do you think Constantine became a saint? Yeah, kind of a long story, but it's kind of interesting. So, Emperor Constantine, he ruled from 306 to 337. He was originally not Christian. Constantine had one main goal. He wanted to reunite the Roman Empire under one emperor. So, the empire again split back in 286 CE. Now, Constantine wanted to reunite both the East and the West together to make one Roman Empire once again. So, pretty much to undo everything that Diocletian did. So, during one of the battles to try to unite East and West, Constantine and the Byzantine army were battling Western Roman army for control of the city of Rome and the entire empire back in 312. This big battle, if you're interested, you can go look it up. It's called the Battle of Milvian. And before the battle, Constantine saw the cross, which is a Christian symbol, in the sun. So, kind of like here's an artist's rendition of what he might have saw. He promised to respect Christians if God helped him win the battle. So, what do you think happened in the battle? So, here's kind of another this is like a tapestry thing. I know it's a little blurry, but you can see here, here's Constantine, and he's like, "Oh God, if you help me win this battle, I'll become Christian." And then he looks up, and there's like a cross, which again is a Christian symbol in the sun. Somehow there's a dragon too. I don't know, man. All right. So Constantine and the Byzantine army did end up winning the battle, and they gained control of the city of Rome and the entirety of the Roman Empire. And then Constantine made a law called the Edict of Milan, and that ended persecution of Christians and also for the freedom of Christians to worship openly. He also gave financial support to Christian church throughout his reign. So he kept his promise good during that battle. So there's a debate if Constantine really wanted to support Christianity due to kind of three big things. If he actually believed in Christianity, or if he was just jumping on board with this popular religion to seem popular himself, because of course he's now taking back the whole Roman Empire, so he wants to be popular, or to unite the West and Eastern or Byzantine empires under one religion. So, kind of the debate of really what were Constantine's motivations. So, Constantine must have been a pretty devoted Christian, right? Wrong. He actually wasn't baptized, which is being converted to the Christian faith, until he was on his deathbed in 337. Why? That's still a debate that historians love to bicker about. All right, so Constantine also moved the capital of the Roman Empire away from Rome into a city called Constantinople. Today, that city is called Istanbul, Turkey. Here's a modern day picture of what Constantinople slash Istanbul looks like. So here is a map. Right here in this little dot is where Constantinople is. So what would be the advantage of having Constantinople be the Roman slash Byzantine capital versus this Rome over here? So take a look at the geography. So It's better because it borders more than just the Mediterranean Sea. So Rome, you just had the Mediterranean, but here in Constantinople, you also have the Black Sea, which is up here, the Aegean Sea, which is down here, and the Mediterranean Sea over here. It is also centered more towards the middle of the Roman Empire because it is closer to Asia. So Constantinople, it becomes a flourishing city for trade, politics, and Christianity. Buildings, aqueducts, and art are all based off of the city of Rome. So here's a modern day picture, by the way. There's still lots of Roman or Byzantine architecture left. So this is an aqueduct that they just built a road through. Constantine also builds basilicas, which are very large churches, and he also builds amphitheaters and palaces as well. So Constantine's contributions to the church. So he used public funding for churches, and he allows Christian priests, so priests are like worship leaders, and disciples to travel Roman roads to convert others. Also proclaimed Sunday as a day of rest. He excused clergy, which is Christian leaders, from civic duty. So that means they weren't drafted to war. He would also tolerate other religions as well, not just Christianity. All but one Roman/Byzantine emperors after him were Christian. All right, so he also does this thing called the First Council of Nicaea. So in 325, Constantine invited and hosted all of the Christian bishops, and he made the bishops decide on what exactly Christians believed in. Beforehand, there were many different interpretations about the teachings of Christianity. So he got all these people together, and they created something called the Nicene Creed. In this Nicene Creed, which is up here, by the way, if you're curious, this is the English translation of it, declared the Holy Trinity, meaning that there was the Father, which is God, Son, which is Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. Also, Mary's role in Christianity, which is being Jesus's mom, and much, much more. So here is a portrait of what the Council of Nicaea might have looked like. This is supposed to be Constantine right here. And then these are all the bishops that came and said their opinions. All right, so the Byzantine Empire. That lasted from 330 to 1453 CE. Now, let's compare that to the Roman Republic through empire. So remember at the beginning of this unit, we talked about the Roman Republic that started in 507 BCE. And then I just explained in this slideshow that the Roman Empire ended in 330 CE, Common Era. So it lasted about 841 years. Versus the Byzantine Empire, which would include lots of this land right up here, lasted from 330 to 1453. So it lasted over 1,000 years. So when comparing the two empires, of course, we talk about the Roman Empire being like the empire, like the really big, cool, long-lasting empire. But in reality, the Byzantine Empire actually lasted even longer. So the people of the Byzantine Empire always thought of themselves as a continuation of the Roman Empire. So these people in the Byzantine Empire living from 330 to 1453, they didn't call themselves Byzantines. They called themselves Romans. Although now as historians, we see them as kind of two separate time frames, although they are very connected. All right, just some other stuff I want you to know about the history of Christianity, because this will pop up more when we talk about the Middle Ages. So in the Middle Ages, we'll talk about the Great Schism, which happened in 1054. That is where the Christian church split into two. It split into the Roman Catholic Church and then the Eastern Orthodox Church. Then over time, those churches would even split up even more. So in the 1500s, from the Roman Catholic Church came the Protestants. We'll talk about the Protestant Reformation in quite a few units from now. And from the Protestants came Lutheran, Methodist, Presbyterian, Baptist, Evangelical, Mormons, and there's a bunch of other ones too. I just can't fit them all in this slide. And then with the other side of the Great Schism, so the Eastern Orthodox, they would then split into the Greek Orthodox and the Russian Orthodox. There's also this kind of island of Christians as well. They're called Coptics. Those are Christians who are from Egypt and Ethiopia. So here's a modern day map of the majority of religion by country. So any country that is in red is mostly Christian. Again, it's going to vary on where in the country you are. In the green is Muslim. And then we have some other colors as well. We'll talk about Hindus and Buddhism as well, stuff like that. And this is kind of a cool little, let me exit out of here. I don't know why it went so big. There we go. This is from the 2020 census. This actually breaks down by county in the United States of the different largest religious groups by county, which is kind of cool. It's not really relevant to what we're talking about. I thought it was a cool map. I put it in here. That's what I do. All right, so next up, you were going to do the U4-L10 primary source reading, then the U4-L10 primary source quiz, and then you're going to complete the Unit 4 summative. So this summative is a role-playing summative, so you're going to take a perspective that I have provided. You're going to write a letter pretending to like a pen pal describing your daily routine or a special event that you experienced. And it must include at least 4 vocab words or themes from the lesson. So let's take a look at that right now. Okay. There we go. So the Unit 4 summative directions. Roleplay a written letter to a pen pal. Directions. You are going to pretend that you are a person living in ancient Rome. You are to write a letter to a pen pal who doesn't know much about your life in the city of Rome. You're going to write to them about your daily routine as a Roman or a special event that occurred to you recently in the city of Rome. In this letter, you must include at least 4 vocab words from the Unit 4 lessons. Your letter must be a minimum of 300 words. I know that seems like a lot. It's not a lot. And below is a list of words and themes that you can use. So here are the vocabulary words. In your letter, by the way, make sure you underline your vocab words. So I'll just scroll through those. You can read through them a little bit later. Oh, by the way, so many people mess this up every year. So St. Paul, we talked about him a little bit earlier in the unit. I am not talking about the city in Minnesota, by the way. I'm talking about like the actual St. Paul, not the city. Please don't do that. I usually get like 5 every year who are like, I live in the city of St. Paul. And it's like, oh, no, that's not what I'm going for there. All right, so any work that is plagiarized or used AI will be an automatic 0 for the entire assignment, so don't do that. Please don't do that. It makes me sad when you do that. So again, it is important to write your letter entirely on the Unit 4 summative right here document, okay? That is super, uber important that you write your entire summative on that document. If you write it on another document and then copy and paste it into this document, Schoology will flag it as AI, and that will be a problem. So make sure you write your summative in the document I provide for you. If you're curious, here's a link to the rubric. I also have an example one as well. My example is about ancient Greece, by the way, so you wouldn't just copy and paste what I talk about ancient Rome. But if you're kind of wondering what I'm looking for, at least you kind of have a little bit of an example. And if you need help getting started, you can try these sentence starters that I have for you as well. So that's optional, but I'm there. I'm there to help you. All right. Again, let us know if you have any questions. We are here to help you. Thanks for watching. Bye.